I have a really great tool that I'm going to review with you guys and dive a little bit into some marketing. There's a tool called MindMeister, and it's a mind mapping software. My mind works in crazy ways. Like I get all of this flood of information coming my way, and I'm like, I got to just get it out of my head somewhere. And so using mind maps has been a way that I've just really been able to organize things. Marketing is one of those topics that just made me crazy when I first started. And it's like there's all these ideas, and how do I organize it? And how does it all come together? So, first, I'm going to just give you kind of a sense of some of the stuff, like how mind maps are used. I want to kind of give you a sense of this awesome tool. And then I'm just going to switch and I'm going to open up the mind map that has to do with marketing. One thing I really love about using this tool and creating these mind maps for you is I can actually push these mind maps out to you and your version. The tool's free to sign up, and I can actually make a copy for anybody who wants one and wants to play around with the mind maps. In this case, I use it to kind of organize the thoughts and things that I'm thinking of. This is part of the conversation from the first module. I'll use this as just an example of how the mind map works. And the reason why I'm starting here is because even though marketing has a far reaching end to end kind of things that you're going to need to work through, it all starts with you, your story, your why. And the reason why it starts there is because you need to understand your perfect reader. That's why I've been really having you guys focus a lot on these types of things. And I really want you to get used to talking about this and figuring out who your perfect reader is, where they hang out, talking to them. So when I started putting this stuff together and brainstorming, okay, what are your goals? The what and the why. What is your motivation? And so I was putting things like get in touch with that, get comfortable telling your story. What do you want to create? So let's talk about this. All of the answers to these questions scratch the surface of the inputs you need to start your marketing. Because if you don't know what you're creating, how can you create marketing materials for it? If you don't know and have a really good grasp of what your underlying message is and the value that you're going to provide to your perfect readers and who those people are, how do they talk about the topics? Like, let's give an example of social emotional learning, SEL. There's other things that trigger positive things in people. Oh, yes, you're talking about SEL. I know that that's for me, or that's what I'm looking for. So you need to really dig into research, understand the terminology, the value that you're providing, in order to then think, okay, I know the why, I know the what, I know the who, I've got my perfect readers, I know where they are, I know what they want. Now I understand the messaging that I need to start thinking about. Now I can really get into marketing and thinking about planning for the marketing that needs to happen to those perfect readers. Like I said, this type of mind map was a way for me to brainstorm and pull some of this stuff together. What can you learn from bestsellers in your niche? I always like to say, don't reinvent the wheel. There are books out there for most of you that are really killing it in your niche. Look at what they're doing. How do they talk about the topic that you're also writing about? What is it that they're including with their book? What do their illustrations look like? What does their cover look like? Because all of the things that go into all of this is all marketing as well. What your cover looks like, that's the first impression of your book. Is it going to speak to your target audience? Go take a look at what bestsellers are doing. And it's speaking to people because they're selling, they're flying off the shelves. So what can you learn? Not that you have to be pigeonholed into doing exactly what other people are doing, but use it as research. When you're thinking about, what kind of a cover to design, go grab some bestsellers in your category, put put the thumbnails up on a document or a PowerPoint and put your design in the middle. And does your book belong with those other bestsellers? Does it stand out? Does it like look completely out of place? Does it look really awesome and draw your attention because of the color schemes and what it's doing? These are all marketing. The look, the way you talk about it in your description, the way you sell yourself in your author bio. I'm just going to give you like a couple of little things on mind maps. They have the ability to click on these things. If I'm sitting on a leaf and I hit the insert button, I can add something new. And you can just drag and drop things. Now this is going to go over here instead. No, I think I can categorize this differently. I want to move it up, move it down. So it's really flexible. One thing I really love about it, there's this little hamburger thingy over here, right? And it has an ability to like colorize, add some icons, which you've seen me playing around with here. But if I say this here, this test here, I want to go to www.thelittleLabradoodle.com. Click here. Now that has a link. If I want to attach a file, I can attach a file. I can also put a due date. I can assign it, say who's going to do it and what the priority is. So it's kind of really cool how you can just use these mind maps as brainstorming and then actually use it to plan things. And as you finish things up, close the leaf, it's done. The best thing about this is the tool is free. It's free for 3 mind maps. And if you want to pay a little bit a month, then you get unlimited a number of mind maps and all kinds of additional ability to export. You can export it to PDF, to Word, to presentation form. It's amazing. It's one of the best tools that I have. And by the way, I do have an affiliate link that I will be happy to share with you guys if you want to sign up for MindMeister, and then sometime in the future you decide to expand, then I get a little bit of a bonus from them. So I'll be happy to share my affiliate link, or you can just go and sign up for it. And if you say, okay, I'm done with the planning process, now I'm moving on to something else, you can just kind of get it out of the way. And now let's look at marketing. So I have some high level information here about marketing. So this is a part of my self-publishing activities, right? One piece of it. So when I look at the whole picture of self-publishing, I showed you and I walked through some things with the timeline. Planning, marketing, go through the whole thing. Every step of the way, we're planning for the next thing and the next thing. Marketing, we're planning ahead. We're looking a little further and a little further. So I'm going to go into that detail. But this here, the create and publish the book, is where most of the people think this is publishing. Write the story, edit the story, illustrate, design and formatting, prepare and publish. Most people think this is where, what the whole kit and caboodle is. But you can see there's 3 other major areas that we're going to be diving into, because without the planning, without the marketing, without executing, running ads, events, monitoring, like all of this advertising, marketing, and sales that happens after you launch, none of this ends up being very successful. Now that you kind of see the process of mind mapping, and you could be doing anything, it could be about anything. It really does help you to go through something like this. Now I'll just pull up the master list. So background and research, we talked a lot about these kinds of things, right? About you. So, I started you guys here. Look at your competitors. Who are the influencers and key people in your niche? So we know that all of that is important. And then creating a plan for your marketing. And in order to create a plan, it means you need to have an end in mind, right? We think about what we want, and then we start thinking about the steps to get there. So with that in mind, what are your goals? So again, if it's becoming a best-selling author, if it's to sell a certain number of books, if it's to make it a business, come in here, delete what you don't want, add information here, and then who's going to help you with it? So starting to think about the plan. So if you need help with Kickstarter, plug in with Sarah, Lisa Furland. Friends, family, acquaintances? Do you have a project manager? Do you have, so kind of think about those people that you need to also make part of your journey in order to be successful. And then what are you going to do to make your book more likely to sell? Because that's what marketing really is, right? You need to create a product that is worthy of sale. Creating a high quality book. Here are some things that go into a high quality book. How are you going to become visible? So thinking about the types of things that you need to do for ads or Amazon, additional categories. You also need to have an attractive listing. You also need to have a good email list. And then I put some things here in, extras, like what about a literacy guide or teacher's curriculum that can go with your book? What about some of the content? What about a video book, an audio book? And it's really not expensive to do that if you're working with Amy Weaver, who is my go-to person to do read aloud videos. Then you're spending usually $60, $80 at the most to get a nice trailer and video read aloud. So these are some of the things you can think about. Extras. You can talk about what are you doing to differentiate and make your book more likely to sell. And then we talk about where are we selling it. So we talked a lot about all these places, online retailers, libraries, but if you have specific places, maybe it's bookstores in your area and you want to actually start listing the bookstores and grabbing some links, you can add them in here. If you have local libraries you want to reach out to, you can start listing them here. Where or how will you sell your book? So your current followers might be a good target for some of your book sales. Things like blogging, making announcements, special pricing, because pricing is another way of getting some marketing going. Showing your personality, emails. What are you going to do with your current followers? Are you going to attend some events? Do you have family or friends that can help you or will be able to share or provide influence? And I'm sure there's a lot more that we talked about with regard to the where and how you're going to sell your book. How are you going to generate buzz for your launch? Things like emailing, appearances, social media, a launch party, book signing, articles. There's lots more, right, that you can do. And there's lots more things we could add here. But these are some of the things you need to be thinking about. How are you going to drive sales post-launch? So social media posts, influencers, free ebooks, TV and radio, Amazon ads, email list. So if you really think about, this is my marketing plan. This is like a who, the what. And once you have this plan together, now you can start developing the content you're going to need to bring this plan into action. For example, creating a press kit, audio and video. Where are you going to go to get those book trailers, read alouds? But actually creating the content is part of the whole thing. In order to make this plan come alive, you need to have these things. Maybe it's emails. Maybe it's social media posts that are all ready to go when you launch. It could be emails that are going to be going out to your family, friends. It could be developing, your Kickstarter video. Could be doing live videos, right? So these kinds of things are going to help you to be able to bring this plan into action, and knowing what content you're going to develop and starting to put that into your plan, but it's more of a time-phased plan, can take your marketing and start turning it into something that you can actually see coming together. The other part of it is communication. What relationships do you need to build? What communications do you need to build, like pitches, emails, articles, social media posts? What about a website? Maybe you need to do a little author website. This is kind of the whole picture of some of the information that you'll see here. And then executing the plan is kind of the last bit of it, but actually putting the steps into, this is what I'm going to do 4 weeks before launch, 3 weeks before, 2 weeks, 1 week, and actually putting the activities here so that you could turn it into a plan with due dates and actually see this coming together. And don't forget, we have that timeline, and I'm going to help you work through this stuff. But this is how you envision the full marketing plan and the marketing activities that you're going to do moving forward. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening, everyone.